shield had a son named Beowulf, who became renowned as a prudent son, giving freely so that when fighting began, steadfast companions would stand by him and hold the line. When Shield died, his men did as he asked. They put his lifeless body in a boat, piled treasures on top, and sent it out to sail the ocean. It might be there to this day, sailing alone, just as Shield ended his life. Then it was left to Beowulf to rule the kingdom without his father's aid. After him came the great warrior king, Halfdan. Halfdan was very blessed, a father 4 times over, a leader among his friends and family, eventually forming a makeshift army. With such abundance, his mind soon settled on his legacy. He had his followers build the biggest and most elaborate bar or mead hall the world would ever know.
A vile creature descended from Cain, the world's first murderer, turned its wrath upon the poor Danes. Because Cain had killed his brother to take a reward from God, he got a curse instead. His descendants would be various types of demons until his reward was earned. One night the demon, named Grendel, left his swamp home to wreak havoc on the intoxicated men. He sneaked into the mead hall and selected the strongest of the sleeping men. He then disemboweled as many of the men as he could before the others awoke. He took the corpses with him back to his lair, leaving only a trail of blood. Night after night for 12 years none were safe, and the creature would enter homes or wait outside them to prey. Grendel ruled the nights.
Beowulf, who is considered to be the greatest hero in the world, lives not that far from Denmark in a realm called Gateland. Beowulf decides to travel by boat to Heorot with 14 of his bravest men. Once they arrive, they are approached by the watchmen of the Danish coast wanting to know their business. Beowulf explains that his father was Ethgo and owes his allegiance to Hygelac. The watchman believes that Beowulf has come to save them all from the monster, and so he leads the warriors to the mead hall, Heorot. He tells them who he is and that he would like to speak to the king. Wulfgar, a wise herald, reports back to the king, and the king, remembering his friendship with Beowulf's father and all the stories of Beowulf's great strength, asks Wulfgar to welcome the gates to Denmark in hope for help against Grendel. Beowulf offers to fight Grendel, unarmed. Hrothgar remembers that Beowulf's father, Ethgo, pledged his loyalties to Hrothgar, and so Hrothgar accepts Beowulf's offer. Hrothgar invites the gates to sit and enjoy a feast in Heorot with the Danish warriors.
Beowulf was interrupted from his feast when Unferth, son of Ecglaf, spoke of a swimming match that Beowulf and another boy named Breca completed in his youth. Unferth believes that Beowulf was foolish to compete with Breca in the dangerous open seas. Unferth continued on by telling Beowulf that Breca defeated him in 7 nights, which proves to Unferth that Breca was the stronger one of the two. Unferth then finished by adding that Beowulf is surely no match for Grendel, because he himself lives at the bottom of the lake. Beowulf then tells Unferth that they swam 5 nights, not 7. Breca could not pull away, and he would not abandon him. The seas drove them apart and left him having to kill 9 sea monsters that attacked him. Beowulf then tells Unferth that he has heard that he killed his own brother, for which he will be condemned to hell for. Beowulf continued with the feast and vowed to defeat Grendel or die trying.
Grendel burst into Heorot and devoured a Geatish warrior while Beowulf studied him. When Grendel reached out to snatch up Beowulf, he was stunned by his great strength. Grendel tried to get away, but Beowulf wrestled him down. Beowulf's men tried to help, but no weapon on earth was capable of harming Grendel. So Beowulf summoned a greater strength and ripped Grendel's arm out of its socket. Grendel ran back to his swamp where he died. Beowulf held the arm up as a trophy and placed it on the wall of Heorot as proof of his great victory.
When morning came, everyone gathered in the hall and saw the aftermath of Beowulf's fight with the monster. It was pretty dope. And then the king came by and told Beowulf how gravy he was. There was a great feast where everyone stuffed their faces with food and Beowulf was presented with gifts, yo.
Beowulf and the other men set off into the forest to hunt Grendel's mother down. Beowulf's main battle weapon was a rare and ancient sword named Hrunting, which had never failed the hand of anyone who has used it in battle. Immediately after plunging into the bloody water where Grendel's mother awaited, she lunged out, catching him in her brutal grip. She took him to her underwater lair, where he struck her with his sword, but it failed him in his time of need. After wrestling with the monster, Beowulf spots a blade in her armory. so huge and heavy only he could carry it. He swung it at her, cutting deep into her neck bone and killing her. Searching her lair, he comes across Grendel's lifeless corpse and violently decapitates him. Beowulf takes his prize back to the surface, where he and the Thanes carry it back to Hrothgar's kingdom. Beowulf and the troops came back to the mead hall. Beowulf was then asked about his perilous journey. He tells the tale of Grendel, and then he presents Hygelac and the king's wife with a mass of plunder. Time passes, and sadly King Hygelac falls in combat, and the kingdom is borne upon Beowulf's shoulders. The next day there is another feast, and Beowulf and Unferth have a conversation. Beowulf decides to send Unferth back to the land of Hygelac. Unferth says that he will go, and that if Beowulf ever needed anything at all, or that he hears of a battle, he will be back with his men to help Beowulf in any way at all. After Unferth leaves, Beowulf tells about his adventures at the feast. Hygelac is impressed with the work Beowulf has done and gives him his own land and plenty of treasure.
Hygelac fell in battle, and Beowulf gained control of the kingdom. He ruled for 50 years until someone found the secret passage to the dragon's lair. He removed a gem-studded goblet from the hoard the dragon guarded. The thief was an ex-servant who took the gold-plated cup in hopes of being reinstated by his master. He hurried it to his lord, who granted his request. When the dragon awoke and found the goblet was missing, it became furious. The dragon unleashed its fury by scorching homes and villages. Beowulf was given the bad news that his home had been burned to a cinder, and he began to plot revenge against the beast. He had an all-iron shield made. Even though he realized that this could be his last battle, he decided not to take an army. Beowulf took 11 comrades and forced the servants who had stolen the cup to serve as their guide. He wished good luck to his comrades, and knowing that his fate was near, spoke to them of his life and past battles.
Beowulf went to the entrance of the lair and challenged the dragon. The dragon attacked, but Beowulf's hand-picked troops ran in fear for their lives with the exception of one man, Wiglaf. When he saw his lord in peril, he drew his sword and went to the king's aid. The dragon attacked again and snapped his fang into Beowulf's neck. Beowulf gathered his strength and sunk his stabbing knife into the dragon's flank, dealing it a mortal wound. The dragon was defeated, but Beowulf began to feel the poison from the dragon's fangs. Beowulf passed leadership to Wiglaf and passed away.
Both Beowulf and the dragon had reached the end of the road. As Beowulf laid there in all his riches, those who left his side and lived life in shame came to his funeral, behind shields and their battle outfits, to say goodbye. Between Swedes and Geats, Hygelac fought his way through the destroyed camps of his enemies. Beowulf asked his people to lay him silently in his pyre, built by his people, a heap of wood stacked 4 feet high, hung with helmets, war shields, and shining armor, with all of his golden fortune. In an instant it was set ablaze, drowning out those mourning in their lord's decease. Soon they buried all his ancestral treasure, gold under gravel. All of the finest treasure lost the true meaning of royalty, and belonged only to those who were kindest to his people and keenest to win fame. All in all, I guess you could say Beowulf was a pretty sweet guy. The end.